All right, guys. This is going to help you a little bit if you didn't take the time to look up some of those formulas that we needed. So those formulas we needed are all kind of right here. So basically, there's formulas for triangles. So P is going to stand for perimeter. So this bottom part is kind of what letters are going to stand for. So if you don't know that, like P is perimeter. A is area. So if you see that, like a capital, and it matters that it's a capital P versus a lowercase p, a capital A versus a lower a. S is for side, right? But remember, once again, it's a lowercase s versus a big S. L is for length and width, is W. Big C is for circumference. Little b is for base. H is for height. Now, when we talk about triangles, the base and height are always perpendicular to one another. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Perpendicular is around. Area is the measurement of the inside, how much it covers. And those are always in square units. So circumference is like the perimeter of a circle, and area is the area of a circle. All right, that's all we're gonna use a lot of this today. So if you get stuck, this is where I'm getting all these formulas. All right, so A is a rectangle, which means that 3.2 can go here and 2.1 can go there. So the perimeter is very easy. We're just going to add up 3.2 plus 3.2 plus 2.1 plus 2.1. You can also do 2 times 3.2 plus 2 times 2.1. There are 2 ways to do it. So whatever you like the best. I end up with 10.6. So my perimeter is 3.2 plus 3.2 plus 2.1 plus 2.1. So my perimeter is equal to 10.6 centimeters. Do not forget your label. You will lose points if you do not have your label on there. All right. So now I'm going to find area. So area is equal to length times width. So my area is equal to length times width. Well, there's the length, 3.2. So my area is 3.2 times 2.1. So I just do in my calculator 3.2 times 2.1. I end up with 6.72. Now here's the big key here. You have to write square centimeters. And even though it looks like centimeters squared, it's technically square centimeters because it's literally how many little squares can fit inside that. So if you could fit 1 by 1, 6.72, 1.1, 1 by 1 square centimeters in there. All right. So that's it for A. Now, B is a circle. So circumference, we're going to do circumference. Circumference is around, right? So basically, if you tied a string to it or something like that, that's how you could lengthen that. If you like wrapped a string around the edge, you could cut the string and then lay it out and measure it. But the easiest way to do that is you're going to say circumference is 2 pi r, or pi times the diameter. So this is the radius. The diameter would be the whole way across, which would be 6. It's always twice that. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to say C is equal to 2 times pi times 3. So you could leave your answer as 6 pi. Sometimes they want it in the answer in terms of pi. Sometimes you put it in your calculator. You get 6 times pi in your calculator. I use the pi button. I do not use 3.14 because pi goes on forever. So I get about, so that's why I change it to like the approximate symbol, because I'm going to round to 18.85, and remember it is inches. Now area the area of a circle is pi r squared. So this is my r, remember that's r. So my area is equal to pi times 3 squared. So my area is equal to 9 pi. So I just put in my calculator 9 times pi. And sometimes they'll give you an answer in terms of pi. You'll just leave it as 9 pi and you'll say square inches. But we'll round to 2 decimals. So I'm going to say area. Remember, now that I'm rounding, I have to use my approximate symbol, and it's going to be 28.27. And it's square inches. So there's my area. There's my circumference. So remember, whenever you see perimeter, if it's a circle, they don't want perimeter, they want circumference. And area is both the same. C is, even though it kind of looks like a square, it is still a rectangle because these are not the same. So that means I'm going to have 6 feet here, and I'm going to have 5.5 feet here. So to find my perimeter, I'm going to do exactly what I did before. So my perimeter is going to be equal to 6 plus 6 plus 5.5 plus 5.5. So I get 12 plus 11. So my perimeter is going to be 23 feet. It's a terrible way to write feet. I'm getting towards the edge of my phone, so it's like being odd. Now area equals to length times width, because we're talking about a rectangle. All right. So area is length times width. And my length would be 6. My width would be 5.5. So my area is equal to 6 times 5.5. So 6 times 5.5 is 33. So my area is 33 square feet. So you either have to put the little 2 there, or you have to literally write out square feet. It's entirely up to you which one you do. All right. That's it for C. All right, D and E, very same concept. Remember, perimeter is going to be all 3 sides added together. So look, the 8 has nothing to do with perimeter because it's not part of the outside edge of the triangle. So I'm going to do 9.5 plus 9.5 plus 10.2. So I do 9.5 plus 9.5 plus 10.2. I end up with perimeter equals 29.2, and it is inches. Do not forget your label. Now, the area formula for a triangle, area equals 1/2 base times height. I don't mind if you use base times height over 2. I just recommend putting this in parentheses so you don't make a mistake. I find you guys are less likely to make a mistake if you use 1/2 because in your calculator you use the ABC button. So this is the base. The height is 8. Height always has to be perpendicular to the base. So if I was going to use 9.5 as the base, I would have to have that height right there, and I don't have that. So the only base I can use is 10.2. So my area is going to be 1/2 times 10.2 times 8. So my area is going to be 1 ABC2 if you're using my calculator, right, times 10.2 times 8. And I end up with 40.8. Remember, it is square inches because we're talking about area. It's coverage, right? And that's it for D. E, we are back to a circle. This is a diameter. That's D. So to find the circumference, remember circumference is equal to pi times the diameter or 2 pi r. Now, so if you're going to use it as D, you use 6.2, or you could say R is 3.1 centimeters. So it doesn't really matter which one you use to me. So circumference is going to be pi times 6.2. Either way, you're going to get the same thing. So circumference is 6.2 times pi. Now, I'm going to use my calculator and do 6.2 times pi. I end up with about 19.48. So my circumference is about 19 point, that looks terrible. So my circumference is about 19.48, and we are talking about centimeters. All right. Now, area area is equal to pi r squared, which is why I had to know what the radius is, even though I used diameter in circumference formula. So I put 3.1 in right there. So my area is equal to pi times 3.1 squared. So 3.1 squared is 9.61. And I multiply it by pi. So my area is about, and remember I use the approximate symbol now, 30.19. And it is square centimeters. And that's it for Firestarter 1. So basically all of these Firestarters are just plugging it into the formula. This one's a little bit harder because I don't give you all three sides of a triangle. So we also had to know a new thing, right? We had to know a new thing that was... we had to know Pythagorean's theorem. So we also had to know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared to get the third side of a triangle. So the first thing I'm going to do on all of these things is I'm going to get the third side of the triangle. So every single time I'm going to get the third side of the triangle using Pythagorean's theorem. So that's going to be all the purple writing is going to be Pythagorean's theorem. So I'm going to do 3 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. We don't know, right? Remember, that's a right angle. These are all right angles. I forgot to put the box on there. That's why I'm allowed to use Pythagorean's theorem. So this is A, this is B, this is C. This is A, this is B, this is C. This is A, this is B, this is C. This is A, this is B, this is C. So 3 squared plus 7 squared. So 3 squared is 9. 7 squared is 49. So together that's c squared. So now I end up with 49 and 9 is 58. So c squared is 58. And remember, if I want to get that, I'm going to have to square root it to figure out c. So c is actually going to be the square root of 58, which is 7.62. We'll say c is about 7.62. So now I can find the perimeter. It's pretty easy. So we'll do perimeter will be blue. So perimeter is going to be 3 plus 7 plus 7.62. So the perimeter is going to be 17.62 meters. Now it's really easy to do area. Well, I'll do area in green. Area is equal to 1/2 base times height. Well, this is the base and this is the height. So area is equal to 1/2 of 3 times 7. Half of 21 is 10.5. And remember, it's going to be square meters. Do not forget your labels. All right. And that's it for 1. 2, exact same concept. So the purple writing is Pythagorean's theorem. So I'm going to do a squared. So I'm going to do a squared. So I'm going to do 10 squared plus 13 squared equals c squared. Well, we don't know what c squared is, so we have to do 10 squared plus 13 squared. So I have 10 squared plus 13 squared. That's 269. So c squared is going to be 269. Remember, to find out what actual the length is, I have to square root it. So I end up with c equals, well, the square root of 269 is about 16.4. So I put 16.4 centimeters. So now perimeter is pretty easy. So the perimeter, we'll do in blue again. So the perimeter is going to be 10 plus 13 plus 16.4. That's going to be 23 plus 16.4 is 39.4. It is about, and don't forget your label, centimeters. Area. So area is equal to 1/2 base times height. So area is 1/2. 10 is the base, so this is the base. Or it doesn't matter which one's the base, actually, as long as they're both perpendicular to the other. So actually, I want to say 13 is the base. So I get 130. Half of 130 is 65, and it's square centimeters. So area is 65 square centimeters. And that's it for 2. 3, exact same concept. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my third side, except it is a little bit more difficult now because I know that 29 is C. So it's not going to be 21 squared plus 29 squared. It's going to be 21 squared plus, we don't know B now. So now I have to do 21 squared. It's 441 plus B squared equals, well, 29 squared is 841. So now I have to actually just kind of use some algebra skills and minus the 441 over. So I end up with B squared equals 400. Now to figure out what B is, I have to square root both sides. So my B is actually going to be 20. And it's feet. Now remember, perimeter going to be easy. I'm going to do 21 plus 29 plus 20. So my perimeter is going to be So my perimeter is going to be 21 plus 20 plus 29. So I get 41 plus 29. So 41 plus 9 is 50, plus another 20 is 70. So my perimeter is 70 feet. Now my area still exists. My area is going to be 1/2 base times height. And the base, remember 29 is the hypotenuse. It cannot be the base. So the base is either 21 or 20. It doesn't matter to me which one you use. So we'll say area equals 1/2. The base is 20 times 21. So I do 20 times 21. That gives me 420. I cut that in half to get 210. So my area is equal to 210. Remember, it is square feet. So that's it for 3. All right, last one. Exact same concept as number 3. I know A, I know C, I do not know B. So I'm going to say 7 squared plus I don't know B squared is equal to 25 squared. 7 squared is 49 plus B squared, we don't know that, and 25 squared is 625. Now remember, we do have to do a little bit of algebra skills like this. So I get B squared, and I minus 49 from both sides. So I do 625 minus 49 is 576. Now I square root both sides because I got to figure out what B actually is, not what B squared is. So the square root of 576 is 24. So my B becomes 24 inches. So now I know enough to find the perimeter. So my perimeter is 7 plus 24 plus 25. So 24 and 25 is 49 plus 7. My perimeter is going to be 56 inches. Now, my area is 1/2 the base. So this is the base, 7. And the height, which is 24. And this is actually my personal favorite way of writing out the formula. I use empty parentheses for B and H. It forces everything to kind of work correctly, but you don't have to necessarily write it that way. So I go 1ABC 2 times 7 times 24. I end up with area is equal to 84 square inches. And that finishes that one. All right. So that one actually had a lot of work. There was a lot of work there because you had to do Pythagoreans every single time. On the next Firestarter, I do not make you do Pythagoreans every single time. The keyword is green calculator. The keyword is green calculator. So on this one, I did kind of trick you a little bit. I tried to, if you didn't see this, these are yards and these are feet. Now, yards are bigger than feet, which means they'll have smaller numbers because 1 yard is the same as 3 feet. So what I like to do is I put them all in yards. Even though you could have put, it would have been quicker if you just made 29 yards into feet, but then you have bigger numbers. It's really personal preference. If you put them all in feet, that's fine. If you put them all in yards, that's fine. So I made them all in yards, so I made this 13 yards. I made this 21 yards. And I made this 18 yards. So perimeter, really easy because I have all 3 sides. Remember, this is not the perimeter. I have 29, 21, and 18. So my perimeter equals 29 plus 21 plus 18. 29 and 21 is 50 plus 18, so my perimeter is 68. Remember, it is now yards. My area, it is 1/2 base times height. So my area is 1/2. This is the base. 29. This is the height, 13. So this is the base. This is the height. So I just do in my calculator 1 ABC2 times 29 times 13. I end up with 188.5. Or 188.5. So 188.5 square yards. Remember, it has to be square yards. You have to have the correct label. And there's our perimeter. Now on 2, I did make you do Pythagoreans on 2 because we don't know this side. That is C. So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to say 21 squared plus 28 squared equals C squared. Now 21 squared is 441. 28 squared is 784. So I have 441 plus 784. So 41 plus 784 is 1225. So my C squared equals 1,225. I square root 1225. And I end up with 35. So C is 35. So we know this is 35 miles. All right, pretty big triangle. Now my perimeter, really easy. My perimeter is going to be 28 plus 21 plus 35. So 28 and 21 is 49. Plus 30 is 79. Plus 5 is 84. So my perimeter is 84 miles. My area is 1/2. This is the base. This is the height because of my right angle right there. So I'm going to put my base as 28. Now you could flip it. It doesn't really matter. You could do 21 and 28. Same answer. So I'm going to do 1/2, 1 ABC2 times 28 times 21. I end up with a area is 294 square miles. Lastly, number 3, pretty easy because I gave you the second and third side. So I'm going to find my perimeter first. So that's the outside numbers all being added up. So my perimeter is going to be 11 plus 10.02 plus 10. I end up with 20. I end up with my perimeter to be 31.02 centimeters. All right. Now my area is pretty easy. My area is 1/2 base times height. Well, this is the base. This is the height, remember, because of that right angle, they are perpendicular. So my area is equal to 1/2 times 10 times 9.2. So 1/2, 1 ABC2 times 10 times 9.2, 46. So my area is going to be 46 square centimeters. And that's it. That finishes this. So remember, you need the formulas. You just basically plug the numbers into the formulas as long as you can identify the right stuff. We did have to use Pythagorean's theorem a little bit. So let me know if you have any questions. That's Firestarters 1, 2, and 3 completed.